Minecraft 3DS. One of the most underrated and one of the least known versions of Minecraft out there. Released back in 2017, it finally introduced Minecraft on the 3DS after several years of waiting from fans. Fast forward exactly 4 years later, and I am now going to be reviewing the game. Okay, I know it may seem a little late, but after playing this game extensively, I am going to be reviewing Minecraft 3DS in this video, as well as seeing if it's still worth it 4 years later in 2021. So, without further ado, let's get started. When Minecraft 3DS was released back on September 13th, 2017, it was met with mixed reception. Some people enjoyed the game and thought it was good enough for the 3DS. Others saw this version as one of the worst because it was released so late in the 3DS's life, as well as the lower performance and gameplay quality over other versions. Not to mention the well overpriced $30 price tag this game still has to this day. It was also prone to be made fun of in various videos comparing the graphics to other versions, which I do get, but the 3DS specs are very low in comparison to every other platform of Minecraft. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the performance of this version in more detail. Minecraft 3DS runs at a resolution of 240p with a target frame rate of 60 frames per second. During normal gameplay, it usually never hits 60 FPS unless you are mining or in a super flat world. But despite that, the FPS is usually around 20 to 40 in normal gameplay, which is not bad at all. The resolution is also much better if you're playing it on an actual 3DS in person as well. Overall, the performance of this version isn't nearly as bad as some would expect. However, when this game was released, there were several reports of the game crashing, and even today it is still prone to it. But personally, I do not experience any crashing near it at all, but your experiences may vary. The render distance is for sure not something to boast about, because it is a whole 3 chunks, and a laughable 1 chunk when raining. Yes, this is the 3DS we're talking about here, but for the average player who used to 12 to 24 chunks on console editions, and even higher on PC versions, will definitely think this is not a good render distance. But surprisingly enough, it actually does feel adequate in normal gameplay. Overall, Minecraft 3DS does run surprisingly well, all things considered, and once you get used to its limitations from other editions, it really isn't that much of a hindrance. Now let's get into how the controls work. The controls for this version work as you would expect. Every control button on the new 3DS is utilized in some way. There is one difference from other Minecraft versions, however, and that is the C-stick. The C-stick does not move like the circle pad does, but it instead registers input from the pressure of your finger and how much, and due to this, the camera does take some getting used to. In addition to that, the ZR and ZL buttons are used for scrolling through items on your hotbar, and the L and R buttons are used for building and breaking blocks. This is the opposite orientation from other Minecraft versions that utilize physical controls, and this is due to how the shoulder buttons are placed on the new 3DS. In addition, there are a few control settings that you can adjust, from changing the auto jump and the sensitivity of the camera. Overall, the controls in this version do take some getting used to, but overall, it's not as bad as some may think. Now, let's get into blocks and items. On its latest 1.9.19 update, Minecraft 3DS's selection of blocks and items is most directly similar to the Minecraft Java 1.12 World of Color update, so there's actually a pretty good selection of blocks and items to choose from. A couple things to note are the fact that there is no need for a regular map item in this version, because it is always on the bottom screen, and that some items present in this update, like parrots, are not in this version either. Shields and offhands don't exist in this version either. While still limited compared to today's updates, it has a pretty good selection for what it is. As far as natural structures are concerned, Minecraft 3DS still has the old villages, so nothing from the Village of Pillage updates are present here. The new nether and aquatic features obviously don't exist either. It is interesting to note, however, that Legacy console editions did stop updating on the aquatic update, but not the 3DS edition. My assumption would be performance problems, but the most likely answer was probably due to Mojang, or the developers wanting to discontinue it earlier, because it was already being updated for far longer after the other Legacy console editions were discontinued. Now that we have talked about the blocks and items, let's go into the main key features this version has. Firstly, The build limit for no matter what world you're in is 128 blocks. This may seem low compared to the 256 limit currently and the upcoming 512 limit, but for the 3DS, it's perfect. Due to the low 3 chunk render distance I already mentioned earlier, it's perfectly adequate. Another limitation is mob caps. Only a maximum of 24 enemies, 24 animals, 16 squid, and 16 villagers can exist at once. This may seem low, and it most definitely is. If you plan to make animal farms, then you do need to take the mob cap into consideration when creating one. In normal gameplay, however, it is barely noticeable. On the other hand, a couple great features about this version include 2-player local multiplayer support, the ability to create large world sizes at 2016 by 2016 blocks, larger than older console legacy editions, and just the simple fact that this version is pretty portable. Since this can be played on the new 3DS non-XL in addition to the new 3DS and new 2DS XL, this version is one of the most portable additions. In the end, there are some limitations to be expected, but there are still some features that are great to have, especially on the 3DS. In addition to all of this, there are also a wide selection of skin packs to purchase as well as several mashup packs and texture packs to choose from. There isn't a whole lot to do outside of just playing creative for survival Minecraft, but it's still nice to see these small additions present in this version. Before I explain my closing thoughts, here are a couple fun facts about this version. It is the only version of Minecraft that exists with 2-player multiplayer. The old stonecutter is still present in this version, however it is only found in creative mode. There are also 10 exclusive splash screen text in this version as well. And finally, this version was planned to include a 3D mode in a future update, but was mysteriously never released. Now, is Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition really worth it in late 2021, 4 years after its release? Well, at this point, it really just depends on what you intend to do with it. If you want to buy it for the novelty of owning the game and to experience Minecraft 3DS, then I would say yeah, go ahead and buy it. But if you want to play this game to play Minecraft seriously, just be aware of the limitations this version entails over other versions. In addition, I wouldn't recommend buying this version for its full $30 retail price unless absolutely necessary, because it really just isn't worth the price at this point, unless it somehow gets sought after more in the future. But in the end, despite all that this version has to offer, I still think that it is a very fun version to play, and it is definitely one of the most unique editions of Minecraft made to date. So in the end, I would recommend it under these circumstances, but just be aware of your uses for this version before purchasing. Before you go, don't forget to check out the links in the description that will lead to the various forums of the Minecraft 3DS community. Alright, and that wraps up my full, extensive review of Minecraft New Nintendo 3DS Edition. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to show your support, and if you have any other questions, be sure to comment down below. And with that being said, thanks for watching.